Interesting.
You like this one?
It's distinctive from the other two.
Sample A had a beautiful, sweet, elegant, complex cedar. This one has a little bit of a flat old board wood. I sure hope this is not somebody whom I love and admire in the industry, but
this is
it is distinctive. I mean, go ahead.
Are you saying the Christmas tree should be taken out when it smells like this?
Well, a Christmas tree is pine. It has a tremendous aroma.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get that kind of pine in coffee, but not very often.
No, well, I was trying to make a bad joke. It isn't. I'm not getting the cedar burst that I was with the first one particularly.
Now I'm getting some stuff. You know, it's so hard when you're doing sequence of coffees.
I know.
You get enchanted by one kind of profile, and then you're unconsciously comparing later cups with that first profile that captured your attention and support. So in this case, I think there's stuff going on here that I didn't notice at first.
Yeah.
It's a low-toned cup. I mean, so a lot of people who don't like acidity, I think, would respond positively to the lack of brightness. On the other hand, somebody who likes a classic cup would probably find this a little dull character, and finding all kinds of interesting sweet notes. Maybe cinnamon.
There,
There's again a kind of a nut. Could be. I mean, if you could sort of glamorize it as pistachio, it goes towards pistachio, leans towards pistachio. Now that I have the nut, you know, I can move past the wood, push the wood away, and go with the nut. And there are flowers in there. Flowers that have been cut and sitting around for a little while, but they're still flowers. They're pleasant flowers. Maybe a hint of your lilac, your Chicago lilac.
Yeah, definitely.
There's caramel.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any chocolate. Maybe. Yeah.
I'm
kind
getting
of a
some
milk
chocolate. Yeah.
Caramelly milk chocolate.
Yeah.
Now I'm down in those notes. I'm ignoring the kind of flat woodiness that I got at first. A lot of times we talk at Coffee Review, we get a rubber note, and Jason in particular often notes that there's a similarity to orchids with rubber. So I'm getting a note like, aromatic rubber.
Aromatic rubber. Interesting. Let me see if I have a
Do you have anything more in the nose?
It's too bad, in a way. You know how you can use water to cleanse your palate between, tasting cups of coffee, but there's nothing for your nose that I know of.
Right.
And I am enamored still with previous samples. And that was nice.
I just tasted it, Kevin, and I think that the roast is an issue. It's a slightly darker roast than maybe much darker.
It
could be the roast, and the roast could be baked a little, and that's where that little flatness that's sitting on a lot of the aromatics is coming from.
Yeah, well, that would affect it.
Yeah. Now in the cup, there's a sort of a dampening on what this coffee wants to be, and I was associating with the processing that something in the processing was sitting on the aromatics, some flaw in the whole wet hull process. Maybe it's just the roast, or both. But somebody who doesn't like acidity, body is...
It's certainly smooth. It airs on smooth over acidity. which is wouldn't be unusual at all. But
I'm not sure I agree.
no, you don't
Actually.
think so, huh? Okay. Go
Well,
for
I mean, it's smooth in the sense, Kevin, that the acidity is muted, that the brightness is muted, that it doesn't have any citrusy brightness. I'm not sure that the body, the mouthfeel, isn't a little maybe thin, or not thin, chalky. That's a really bad word.
Chalky
And
could be.
yeah, I said a bad word and I coughed. That's my mother's ghost saying, "Don't say bad words, Kenny."
Wow. I like where this is going. This is interesting. Sounds like we're camping with the scouts again when we're 10 years old.
Right, right.
Anyone know any spooky stories?
Something I think is bringing this coffee down. I'm afraid. In there is a complex and interesting coffee, but the roast, something in the processing, maybe even something in the packaging, something's dampening it and simplifying it. But again, you're right. If somebody doesn't like acidity, says, "Well, I like a Sumatra that, doesn't." Forget that joke. Something. I started and I didn't know where to go with it. But,
It's okay.
But somebody who doesn't like brightness would consider a coffee like this mellow, perhaps, because it. Kevin, I think we're going to have to identify it.
Let's identify
pick
it.
up
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this will explain a lot, Ken. Is that good? Or do you want it over more?
Oh, it's an aged Sumatra.
Yes.
Well, you tricky dude, I know what you were looking for your notes.
I was kind of proud to have found it.
Well, the aging is what's sitting on the coffee, this dampening element. As I've said in other shows, aged Sumatras typically are held in warehouses, special warehouses, usually in Singapore, for about 5 years or so. And the bags are carefully rotated so that there's no off tastes develop. But the profile changes, and I'm not sure that I like this coffee. I think would be magnificent in a blend. I think we had an aged coffee in a Mocha Java blend, and
yes.
I think set off by a brighter and more assertive coffee, this would probably be lovely.
Yeah.
But as a straight coffee, I think it's a little flat, really.
Please like and subscribe if you want to see more shows like this.